So how many of you in the room have heard of winning by design? Okay, so winning by design will without doubt the world's #1 go-to-market strategists. They're a phenomenal consultancy and advisory business, and we're proud that Sales Confidence now partners with them in the UK and EMEA. So Bart van der Horst is managing partner of Winning by Design. He's going to be talking about customers are getting stuck at the point of indecision, the JOLT effect. His background is in established and startup companies all over Europe. He's founded his own business and also joined Winning by Design in 2017. He's an integral partner in advising many of the SaaS companies you've heard out there. We've already had him speak to our private membership at lunchtime today, so he's doubling up. That's a first. Round of applause. Bart, you're up. Cheers.
Thank you. So, thank you. So I'm going to do this without any slides. And I was speaking to Stephen in the audience earlier during the drinks. And I think that's why this format is really great. Because if we think back in the COVID times, we did all these presentations via Zoom or Teams or whatever. And now I'm here live, and I'm not going to use any slides, so it's a new challenge for me. But I think the real value of coming together is at the bar, or not necessarily drinking alcoholic beverages, but meeting new people that you otherwise wouldn't meet. And then the question, of course, we discussed, Stephen, is how much value can that bring? Couldn't we find those people online anyway? But at Winning by Design, so we are a relatively young consultancy focused on B2B SaaS. We help our customers build predictable, scalable sales and customer success motions, so the land and expand motion. And basically the story just about 6 Sense. So that's the technology, that's the tools that you can use after you've got the processes designed. So we usually come before you start creating tools. So we're kind of the architects, and then you've got the builders, and you've got some tools to create it. And we really look at, when in our engagements with our clients, we do assessments where we look at, what is the go-to-market, what are the conversion rates, what are the timelines, and all that kind of stuff. And our business is partly consulting and partly Revenue Academy, and probably some of you maybe has followed some of our courses on the Revenue Academy, like the recurring revenue operating model, which is available as open source for everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about the customer indecision, similar topic. What you've all experienced in your markets today is, you all have goals and objectives you want to achieve. You want to grow your business. Maybe you want to reduce churn or find new customers, and you want to increase productivity in your teams. And the difficulty that we see, historic conversion rates were maybe in enterprise 1 in 3, in SMB maybe 1 in 5, but actually those conversion rates are not improving a lot. They're actually getting worse. So what we see now in our customer base is the conversion rates in the enterprise are going towards 1 in 5, and in SMB 1 in 8. And why is this happening? Of course, the acronym VUCA is probably the cause of it all: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So the VUCA world is still with us. That acronym, I think, is from the 80s, but it's still, I think, applicable. And there are a lot of things that are changing in the world. But in this VUCA world, we still have those challenges. We have, as a consequence, need to deal with these reduced ratios of conversion. And why is it, amongst others, happening? Now, you lose your customers to most often 3 reasons. One is, and it's happened to every one of us, you lose maybe to a competitor. It's they also need to eat, I guess. Right. So you lose to a competitor. That happens. And then you can also lose to a substitute. So there's a different solution to the challenge or the problem the customer has, other than a competitor. So that's another reason why you could lose a deal that you've been working for quite a while with a customer. And the third reason, which also happens quite a lot, is the status quo. The customer has done all their research, they've reviewed all the potential suppliers in the market, but they've chosen to stick with the status quo. And that status quo one is quite a strange one, difficult one to comprehend. And now Matt Dixon, and some of you might have read the book Jolt from Matt, who is also the author of The Challenger Sale, and that's a much older book. Who's read The Challenger Sale? See. Who's read Jolt? It's the same author. It's a really easy read. I'd recommend you to read it. And I'm going to lift the veil a bit on the book in my couple of minutes that I have. But he's done, basically the poor man has reviewed 2.5 million calls, sales calls. It's a job, I guess. But he's done that with the help of some artificial intelligence. I don't know if it was ChatGPT, or maybe the book was written by ChatGPT, who knows. But based on that research, that quite extensive research he did in the last year, he wrote that book. And what comes out of it, so he researched the status quo, right? Losing to that status quo. Instead of a competitor, instead of a substitute, losing to the status quo. That status quo is broken up into two sections, actually. So you have the people that have, what I said earlier, chosen to stick with the status quo because they think that's okay for now. But then there is quite a big part, more than 80%, that do that because they are not making a decision. So they're stuck at the point of indecision. And what happens today in our sales organizations, and we've all been trained on it, is that when a customer is not making a decision, or they're potentially going to go with a competitor or a substitute, is that we think that it's driven by the customers, that we should address the customer's FOMO, fear of missing out. So we do another acronym, so everybody loves acronyms, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, yeah? So you're going to lose out on your ROI. If we don't kick off the project now, we won't be able to achieve your objectives in the future, and we can't commit the team. Your launch customer discount will expire. So we try and address fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the customer. But actually, that 80% of indecisiveness is not driven by FOMO, but by FOMU. So fear of messing up. These clients in this VUCA world are so afraid, they're basically, they've done all their research, they've looked at all the industry analysts' reports, they've done all the ROI analysis, they've compared all the pricing, but there's just so much change that they are afraid to make a decision. So they'd rather err on omission than err on commission. Yeah? So it's better to do nothing than to make a mistake and then say, when it goes wrong, it's your mistake, you're out, or your job's on the line, or whatever. So that point of indecision is not addressed by the salespeople with FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. You need to address it in a different way. And that's what that book of Matt is about. What he researched is, so what do the outliers in those sales organizations that do win in these undecided customers, is they address the undecision at the account face on. So the JOLT word is am I running over time?
Just 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes, okay, sorry. So JOLT is an acronym for the J for judging the indecision. So asking a closed question to that account. Is it so that, and you can shape it in a nice way, but is it that you are challenged with the options that are in front of you? Yes. So if you can judge the indecision, then you know that that's one of the key players. If you do an open question, then usually people don't want to be open about that they're undecided, because it's perceived as a sign of weakness, but we are all undecided at the end of the day. The O is for offer your personal advice. We don't remember very often that we as salespeople are in a situation that purchaser only is maybe once or twice in his life, and we've been speaking to a variety of accounts that has a similar challenge. So we can offer advice saying, customers of mine in a similar situation as you do this, and that has that outcome. So the J for judge the indecision, the O for offer your personal advice. So really make it personal And don't, as I always like to say, nobody loves to be sold to, but everybody loves to buy. And our role as salespeople and your teams is to help your customers buy. So offer your help and offer your advice. The L for limit the exploration. A lot of these people, they want to reduce the risk, so they're looking at more and more data usually doesn't lead to better insights. So help them reduce the amount of information they're looking at, so limit their viewpoint to be able to see where the light actually is coming from. And then the T is take away risk, which means, if you remember with Winning by Design, we look at the bow tie, right? It used to be like this. Now it's the bow tie in SaaS, land and expand. Land a smaller project with the account. It de-risks the project. It's easier to prove for the customer that it has impact, and then it's also easier to expand. So that's the JOLT effect. I would really recommend you to read the book by Matt. He's a great guy as well. If you have any questions for me, you can ask them now or at the bar later, or it's Bart at winningbydesign.com.